The opportunities here, we got 500,000 leads, carriers, comp, bonuses, trips, everything you could want to motivate yourself to go make it happen. But you got to decide if you're going to go make it happen. Dude, I love it.
Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency.
Hello, everybody. Grady Polson here, the America Agency. Beyond excited to have Riad Mourssali on with us. Multi-year Hall of Fame producer, absolute powerhouse as far as protecting clients, making them feel comfortable, getting the close done, increasing his persistency, and absolutely a phenomenal guy. Good guy to follow, disciplines, work ethic, up early, exercise, just all around, just a guy you'd want to hang out with, a guy you want to drink beer with, or a guy you want to work out with, or a guy you want to buy insurance from. There's so many hats that he wears, and he's wearing a hat right now, so even more so. But Riad is an absolute, just wonderful person, but at the same time, he is an insurance machine. And so I'm so excited to have him on for you guys to learn from, learn his process, learn his disciplines. But without further ado, how you doing today, Riad?
Good, man. Thank you for the edification. I don't think I'm anything special. I honestly think it's just a product of the business model that is in front of us, to be honest. I just have good work ethic that was instilled into me from my parents, and I just follow the business model. So doing great.
I love that. We'll talk more. So let's jump. I'd love to hear for people to learn more about your story. I know you've been with us a couple years. You came out the gate selling, which is, a product either, as you said, from your parents or from your disciplines you've got instilled in you. And that's a big thing. Like, people come here and they're like, I've got a minimum wage work ethic, but I want a Hall of Fame producer to train me, and I don't have any money for leads. Well, okay, you got to fix some things for us to take away time from what we're doing. And so, in this business, I want everyone to win. Riad wants everyone to win, but you can't come here with a broken mindset and expect us to fix you. You have to fix you, and then let's partner up together and take our, background, stuff we've overcome, stuff we've accomplished, and let's now charge forward in an environment, in a world where we're respected, honored, and we're championed. Like, did you see that list of the top 100 we had so far? Bro, it's just crazy. 2 weeks in, basically 20,000 already to get on the leaderboard. And but I'd love if we talk about you. I'd love to hear kind of where you're from, share about your parents, talk about what you were doing before you found insurance. People can get a real sense to know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been here for 4 years, Grady. You should know that. Come on, not a couple, 4 years. But I found this through a friend that was doing insurance, and they were only a couple months in and doing really well with it. So it attracted me to that. But I come from a background of, I dropped out of high school because it was boring to me. I just got a GED. I didn't want to go to college. I was never built for that. That wasn't me. So I wanted to figure out a way to do something that was my own. I fell into online poker through some friends of mine that were very successful at it. And I did that for 10 to 11 years. It was from age 18 to like 28, 29. When I was forced out of it, the US government at one point shut down online poker. So I was forced to look for an actual job. Had a couple of just, whatever jobs that didn't work out for me. And then I found a sales job at a travel company. It was my introduction to sales and commission sales. And that was like the closest thing that I had found to playing poker or entrepreneurship, even though it was still a W-2 commission job. And I did that for about 6.5 years. I did it probably 2 years longer than I should have, because I felt like I was plateaued, and I just wasn't happy there. I wasn't fulfilled. I really like helping people, and as great as travel is, we all love it. It's not a necessity in our life, right? So I found life insurance. I had no clue, even after I passed my test, what a term policy was, a whole life policy. I didn't study the test to retain all that. I just studied to get my 70% and get a license.
Amen.
Once I started doing it, I was like, holy cow, this is actually, like, there's a lot of meaning behind this, right? And the way that I got taught to sell the insurance was, what we do is probably one of the most emotionally triggering sales processes that we can do, right? It's not the same as selling travel. Selling travel, I'm talking to someone about a cruise. This, I'm talking to someone about what happens if they die tomorrow. What's their family do, right? So very easy to build emotion. So I think the sales process that I learned, I was doing all phone sales at the time with the travel job. And when I first started here, we weren't doing phone sales.
No.
And I welcomed that. I was like, this is awesome. I get to go in person, right? And it is awesome. It is just different. It is extremely different. I saw a lot of things that I'd never seen before. I experienced a lot of things. I sat in places that I never thought I would sit before. It was just, but I'm glad that it happened that way because it helped me see the clientele that we're actually helping, right? Middle America for the most part. And they need the insurance, right? When you actually see it, a lot of people nowadays, when they come into FFL, it's all over the phone. You're not able to build the same connection that you were in person, right? So I'm glad I got that introduction. I did that for about a year and a half. But ultimately, I'm I like to be efficient with my time. So spending hours a day in my car just wasn't doing it for me. And I honestly was thinking, why don't these people do this on the phone? Because I just came from 6.5 years of phone sales. Like you could do this with a phone, right? So eventually we introduced it. I started, my first year and a half was final expense, doing a little bit of mortgage protection. We introduced telesales. I was at like an 80, 90% close rate in the home. So I was doing 30, 40, 50 grand a month. I tried telesales. I tried to do it completely different. And my ROI went way down. I went from like 40K to like 15K. And I'm like, oh my God.
What did you try? So the agent out there that's got all these great ideas that they think they know how to do it, and they don't want to follow the system that we have that's working. What were you doing?
Absolutely. So I just tried to change it for over the phone, which was like a bunch of, I don't know how to even explain it. I was just doing things different, right? I wasn't building the why the same way that I would in person. Like there's points in my career where I'm sitting down with someone and they're literally crying and they're ready to like sign up for the insurance because they realize how important it is. So I remember, and it was, I think Jamie Chirio, who's like, dude, just do it the same as what you did in the home. Right. So I actually went back in home because I didn't want to be doing 15K a month. I was so I went back in the home for probably another 4 months. And then I saw people that were doing 60, 70 grand a month on the phone. And I'm like, I have to figure this out. Right. So I went back. This is after I had a conversation with Jamie. He told me just try it the way that you would do in the home. And you remember his roadmap that he built a long time ago where you would have it in front of you, in front of the client. You would just go step by step. I kind of did that for myself and just kept it the same. And then all of a sudden it clicked. And I mean, that's a year and a half in. I've been here 4 years, over 4 years now. So I've been doing telesales for 2.5. So I started final expense. I then moved to mortgage, especially over the phone because it was a little bit easier, and over the phone is definitely harder than in person. So I tried to get a little bit of an edge back. Mastered that, took a little bit of time, but mastered that, what I feel like is mastered. And then convention 2023, and this is why it's important to go to convention. I'm looking at all these people that are doing like 800,000 plus, and they're like, yeah, I only do IULs. And I'm like, well, I got to figure that out next, right? So I told myself I was going to, and what happened? I was in the comfort zone all of 2024, and I stuck with my mortgage. And then we go to convention this year, and I don't know who said it. It might have been Sean, but the company's at like 40% IULs. Now I'm thinking in my mind, if I don't jump on this train, I'm going to get left behind, right? And we always talk about our 4 quadrants of our license. It's awesome to sell final expense. People need it. It's awesome to sell mortgage. People need it. But if you can sell all 4, you're going to produce so much business off of whatever lead you're working, right? So ultimately, that's what made me shift to IULs. I went in with a game plan to convention. I said, hey, I'm going to switch to IULs no matter what. I already know from switching before my earn is going to go down maybe a couple months. And I had that plan like set in place. I slowly weaned off my mortgage leads, and January after convention, February, I had a dip, and then March, April, we went back up with full IULs. I'm not doing anything else now. So, and to be honest, it's the same sales process. It's just different verbiage. We're just saying stuff a little bit different, but you can literally follow the same sales process. We're just talking about, the cash accumulation and, the life insurance and the living benefits, right? Not just for someone's funeral or for someone's mortgage.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do the same thing. We're just changing a little bit of the verbiage.
Bro,
So, yeah.
I love it. What an adventure. So a couple of things. For the agenda that he's referring to, Jamie used to call it as sales agenda or something. We have it on fflamerica.com. And if you go there, you'll see the downloads button. And then you go on the downloads page, we've got a bunch of resources on there. So you can go there and get a copy of that, what Riad's referring to. Two, it's funny, it's always hindsight's 2020, right? You're sitting on convention 2024, you're like, I had this conversation with myself a year ago. But you could have then gone, I don't want to take action, but then have the maturity to go, I know that I'm going to take a dip because it's new and I'm going to learn it. I've learned these other things. And then to commit to the process to evolve. And then now you're having 30, 40, 50K months again with IULs. And that's it's a life lesson of maturity and as a businessman to understand, I'm going to change some marketing. We're going to try something new, but we see everybody's putting flyers on the cars now and no one's doing the chicken on the corner spinning, right? Okay, so we're going to fire the chicken and we're going to put flyers, or we're going to do Facebook ads, or we're going to do Google, or we're going to do YouTube, we're going to do radio ads. We're going to try something new to bring people into our store. And there will be a dip because it's new and people have to hear the message a few times until they get comfortable. And then all of a sudden now the business spikes back up again. But for you to go, I'm going to transition off of what I've done for years. I've got my flow down. I've got my leads down. I know my pitch. I can do the sale. I can do it with my eyes closed. I can almost do the keystrokes with my eyes closed. I've done it so many times. To go to IULs, it just shows your vision and your insight into the industry, but also as a producer wanting to protect yourself. And so here's our advice to everybody, right? If you're a new agent, yes, I pitch the Ethos card abandonment leads. We talk about getting bronze final expense mailers. Like, you've got to learn how to have conversations with people over the phone, because if you've never done this before. Now, if you're a human and you can breathe oxygen, you can communicate with people. You've got to cut your teeth having conversations. And IULs aren't scary, just as Riad said. There's just a couple other benefits that the product has that we get to talk about when we're selling it. But if you've never if you've ever had an objection or gotten, I need to think about it, or I need to take some time, or what's this about, or who are you again? Like, you haven't ever responded to these pattern interrupts that the leads will throw at you. Start on a cheaper lead, right? But have the confidence in yourself that you may not spike up, or you might take a dip as you're getting going, but you can't look at that leaderboard. You can't look at our company. You can't come to our events and see all these people and think to yourself as a new agent that you can't do it too. That's the biggest thing. That's why I love you shared all that, because these agents can do it. They just need to make the decision that they're okay with getting uncomfortable to get to a point where they're incredibly comfortable. How's life now, Riad, versus the volatility that maybe you had a couple years ago, losing poker, starting something new, and what's life like?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the thing about 1099 is you don't ever get out of the comfort zone. You just learn to live in it. And that's what I strive in. I love it. I've gotten used to it at first. And I'll tell you this, my first 3 months here, I ended up doing it. And I'm not gloating. We're all on a different path, but I picked it up very quick. Part-time, I did 20 my first month. Then I did 40 and 45. So I picked it up really fast. Even though I had all those deposits coming in and I had, 3 times over my income, I still felt like I made a mistake quitting my job. That's just what we have built in us. That's how we're you know what I mean? That's how we're taught. We're taught to get a job even though my parents were entrepreneurs, they still wanted me to go to college. They still wanted me to get a job. They wanted me to do all the normal stuff, put into a 401k, right? And I think just and for anyone that is struggling with this, you're trying to transition from a job or you're starting this brand new. And Easton said this earlier today. I was on a call. If you are thinking that you're going to come in here and your life is going to be balanced, you're sorely mistaken. It's not going to be in balance. You're going to be off balance because you're learning a new skill set. Just embrace it. Embrace that feeling. Go all in on it. Outwork your doubt is literally what I did. I had no clue what I was doing in the beginning. And I honestly, I think back, I'm I feel bad for some of the people that I helped, because maybe I didn't put them in the best position because I didn't know exactly what I was doing, right? But I would say anyone that's uncomfortable, you just got to like just stay uncomfortable and just do the motions. Follow the business model. When someone is, mentoring you and they have what you want, listen to exactly what they're saying. They're not going to steer you wrong. That's pretty much what I did.
Amen, bro. So give us some more insight. We're gonna do I want to jump into your script, lead full everything, but I want to finish kind of like what is your life like? How often do you eat sushi? No, I mean more like what is your schedule, right? I mean, to succeed at this level, you have to optimize time, and that's a big misconception with a lot of people or people that have a job, is their comfortability to be at work at 8:59 and how fast does the clock ring 4:59 so I can go home, and not thinking about work because it's a job, right? But when you have a business, you think about it all the time. How can I improve? Could I serve that client better? Doing self audits on how I did with that client. They're probably happy, but what could I have said instead of? What did I say that could have given them? You know what I mean? So like, that's what we do, right? So because it's ours. I own it. I own all the harvest, and I own all the famine, right? If there's famine, it's my fault. If there's harvest, it's my fault, and I'll take both, and I'll fix it in any way that I can. So for you, what's your week, your month? How fast do you plan stuff out? Are you a Sunday night guy? Are you a Monday morning early? Like, what's your schedule so we can give? Because that's a big thing. I want agents to go. I'm going to start just by copying what he does. All right, let's go there. So what's your day, your week, month like?
Yeah, so it's changed. Let's talk about when I first started here, right?
Okay.
Put my back against the wall by quitting my job. This was it. I was all in. So I treated it just like that. And what that looks like is we were dialing at like 8:30, right? We were trying to beat the telemarketers because telemarketers, start at 9. So we're trying to differentiate ourselves. So we dial at 8:30. And I would set a goal, and our goal to hit Hall of Fame. This is what multiple people said on stage. The first convention I went to before I even started is you have to have 30 in-home appointments a week. That was the gold standard. You dial Monday, we do 15 appointments Tuesday, Wednesday. Dial Thursday, you do 15 appointments Friday, Saturday. I followed that business model. So there was no, hey, I'm going to clock out at 5 p.m. It was, hey, do I have 15 appointments yet for my next 2 run days? No. I literally went until people were yelling at me on the phone. So that would be 8:30 to like 9:30 on average, right? I did that for my first few months, not just a couple times. Like that was my daily to just, like I said, outwork and figure out the skill set. I didn't want to get good at this in 6 months. I wanted to get good at this in 1 month, right? I had to figure this out. So my schedule now looks very different from before. Just because I have other things that I want to do with the business. But anyone that is brand new, if you are serious about this, and I know some people that are on this call have quit their job to do it. If you're not working 12 to 13 hour days to figure this thing out, you're not doing it right, and you're going to suffer, right? And that's just something you have to understand. And I think it goes for any type of entrepreneur or business. When you first start out, you need to go all in, and it's going to take a lot more time to figure it out on the front end. And then later on, once you have the skill set and you're good, then you can kind of, I don't want to say ease up, but you can have a more quote unquote balanced lifestyle where you can actually go enjoy stuff with your friends and family, and it's not going to get in the way of your business. So that was my schedule then. Now I start my first appointment from 9 a.m. and then I just go until the last appointment. Sometimes I'm done at 6, sometimes I'm done at 7. Just depends on the day, right? So I keep my schedule pretty much open. I'm not trying to like have a clock out time per se. And even if I clock out, I'm doing something else on the business to just get ahead, to get better. Because I am not where I want to be after 4 years. You talk about Hall of Fame and all that. That's awesome. But I want to get other people Hall of Fame. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
It's so much more enjoyable, and I get so much more from this when the people that I bring on are winning, to be honest.
Amen.
So
Amen. It's the layperson will hear that and go, I want to be done. And that's okay. This isn't for you. But if you are here, you want what he has. If you want to just, we're on a non-recorded, non-public, non-national call. Ballpark, what did you gross last year?
So last year's a little different of a story because I did slack for other reasons.
Best recent year. We're selling here. Best
I
recent.
I issued 320 last year. The year before it was 440. So
440. Okay.
I mean, last year was probably 80 grand in leads. The year before,
Okay.
that, I think like 100, something like that.
So you made 300. You netted 340, and then if we did 80, you netted 240.
So
Okay.
yeah, something like that. Yep.
Yeah. You want to make $340,000 a year. You're in it. Like that, you want the big money. You want the big checks. You want to change everything. You want to get out of the shitty neighborhood you live in. Sorry, that was my French. You want to get out of, get a better car. You want to travel more. You want a great life. There's stuff you have to sacrifice and things you must give up, internally, externally, friends you have, habits you have, things you've decided that are yours, and you're going to put your foot down. This is just how I am, and I'm going to drink a six-pack every Tuesday night, and I'm going to, whatever. Hopefully, I'm all about a good time. But you've got to give up all the things that keep you from your goals, like Riad has done, to accomplish and put yourself in a position to change everything forever. That you've now broken yourself to a level that you can never go back to under 200 grand. You can never go back to under 100 grand. Lifestyle's leveled up. Your mindset's leveled up. You see opportunities differently. You see the world differently. You see relationships differently. That's what we want for everybody. Now, is everybody going to do it? No. And it's not our choice. It's your choice. But the opportunities here, we got 500,000 leads, carriers, comp, bonuses, trips, everything you could want to motivate yourself to go make it happen. But you got to decide if you're going to go make it happen, dude. I love it. So, any final stuff on your schedule right now?
Just honestly, I'm kind of like an autopilot on the selling. My main thing is just recruiting, so I'm putting a lot more time into that. You and I talked about it before. I'm very accountable on where I'm at in my business. There's no one else's fault but myself with certain things. I've been very sales focused the last 4 years, and I haven't been as consistent with recruiting. Right. So I think that's one thing that I'm also adjusting from convention. Right. You learn a lot at convention. Right. What is, I don't know who said it. I think it might've been Sean, but either the convention needs you or you need the convention. I needed the convention this year. So very important to go to those conferences. I'm excited for Phoenix, but as far as schedule, it's just, I leave it open, and whatever's on there, I just do until there's nothing else on there. So I start at 9 though. I do all my morning stuff and then start at 9.
Time do you get up each day? Sure.
I'm not like a 5 a.m.er. I'm like 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to be a 4:45 every morning, and my biggest issue is I sleep late. I go to bed at like midnight. So
Netflix. Hey, guess what? When you make $300,000 a year, you can do whatever you want with your schedule, because the time that you're working, you're intentional, focused, and disciplined. If right now you're not making the level of income, or you don't have the habits at which you want, then you got to sacrifice some stuff. You got to break down some stuff. You got to chip away and chisel away the crud that's keeping you and bogging you down.